I'm going to try this again. Played with some more stuff. Pushed a few buttons. Changed a few numbers. Watched the 17th YouTube video on how to set up OBS for streaming. So now I'm officially at like the lowest bit rate I can imagine, at the lowest frame rate I can imagine, at the lowest resolution I can imagine. And I'm hoping that this is going to do... And I changed the encoder, so I'm hoping that that's going to do the job too here. Ultimately, the goal is to have clean audio so you can hear the readings, and clean enough video that a still image will appear sharp. So that's all I'm asking for. You know, I'm not doing any kind of fancy video that require heavy frames per second or anything nuts. I just keep it smooth, you know what I mean? That's the goal. So let's give this a shot. I'm going to watch my stream on my phone here while I'm working. We'll flip around through a couple of different scenes here. And incidentally, while I'm doing this is just a technical kind of test. If anyone has any quick questions, just stick them in the chat, and I'll be happy to pull some cards while we work this out. Okay, with the streaming software. So we'll see. Trying to find that middle ground between latency, frame rate, bandwidth, all kinds of stuff. I don't know. Just tweak all the dials till it starts working, right? Okay, I'm at 23% CPU, 0 drop frames, 2500K PS, and you know it kind of flows between 25 and 3000. Let's pop open YouTube and see what it says. Let's see what kind of drag I have on the computer now that I've opened up the heaviest resource web browser in history, Google Chrome. Let's find out. It only added 10% to my processor. That's not so bad. Let's jump up to YouTube. Look at the stream. And see what we can see. Okay, here we go. Great. Okay, it looks like YouTube is liking it so far. I'm having decent... Since 2:15, I've had nothing, no yucky reports on overloading or dropping frames or anything funky like that. Oh, there go the drop frames. Okay, I spoke too soon. Let's see. 30 frames a second, and it dropped 178 frames. Is that like 6 seconds worth of... 6 seconds worth of frames dropped? Now, I did open up a web browser, which, you know, obviously is going to increase resources and take bandwidth, right? So, it looks like we're doing okay. 178 on the frames dropped. Anyone out there that's on the stream right now, if you could just drop in the chat if you're having a good experience with the audio and the video looks pretty clear. Let me jump to a different view. Okay, I'll just jump to the desk here. How's that look when I zoom in? Ace of Swords, 1 to 10 degrees. Libra, Venus. See if that's clear. 2 of Cups. Okay, here's the topic list that we're going to be speaking about. See, processor is still only at 20%. It looks like I can actually push that a little bit. Card of the day. How to find your birth card. Today's daily message. Deck list, Celtic cross breakdown, our promotion. It seems like everything's working. Still very low drop frames. I don't know. This might have been the magic bullet that makes this all work. We'll find out when I actually go back and look at the stream if that's going to work or not. We'll see. And then obviously test out, a call-in at some point when we've got a couple people in the chat. Somebody that's willing to go live on the air over the phone. And that'll give us an opportunity to test out if we're going to have any issues with processor. I don't think so. So far, my CPU is doing very good with this new setting. But I have stuff like pretty clocked down low. Although looking at it on my phone, it appears pretty clean. I'm going to watch it on my computer. So it's going to be a scaled down version of a 720 video stretched to a 1080 screen. We'll see what that looks like as opposed to shrunk nice and clean on a mobile device. At least it looks nice on a phone. The ultimate goal is that you're going to be able to see the cards clear. Isn't that the whole point? Right. The whole point is that you're going to want to be able to see the cards and most importantly hear my voice so that you can understand what I'm saying when it comes to the interpretation. Alright, so we'll see. Alright, well. Shelly, hello. How you doing this evening? I'm running through some. I've been bumping into some technical issues with the stream, and so I'm trying to kind of kick around a couple of different settings, and it looks like I found that sweet spot. So let me know if you're experiencing any issues with the video or with the audio, and if everything's good, let me know. here's some of the things that we were going to be talking about today in the stream. And if you do want to participate, let me know in the chat. Okay, I do a free personal message for anybody who chooses to participate in the chat and in our stream tonight. I hear you. Isn't that what we're all doing? And lately especially, while I'm shuffling and you're... go over to this right here. I'm glad to hear that. This is the energy that we're in right now. This is for all of us. These aren't random cards that were chosen based on synchronicity or a random process. These cards are based on the decanate, right? And so the period of time that we're in right now is in the bottom right area. August 2nd through 11th is that 6 of Wands and moving into the 7 of Wands, right? And that whole period of time is ruled by Leo, and that's why we get the Strength card as far as the card of the day. All right, so we've got the 6 of Wands, which is the deacon, and then the Strength card, which is the ruler, basically the major. Tavon, how's it going? Why is your ex stalking you? That's what they do, man. It depends how many exes you have, but there's a certain point where you've reached a certain number of exes in your life that there's a very good mathematical chance 2 of them are absolutely crazy. The one you knew was crazy and the one you didn't know was crazy. But all kidding aside, no problem. I'll take a look at that for you. That's fine. Same with Shally. If you'd like me to pull some cards, let me know. Or if anybody would like to find their birth card, I could very quickly and easily do that for you. Just throw your month and day into the chat, and I'll tell you what your birth card is. Oh, I know. Could you imagine? Time flies, right? Don't laugh. It's going to be October soon. Like, next thing you know, you're going to blink and it'll be October. Something tells me September is going to be, like, so jam-packed crazy for all of us that it's just going to, like, zoom by. So, we got a lot of stuff going on in the world, right? Crazy, crazy stuff. I agree. Yes, the word narcissist is really, really misunderstood. Yeah. It's one of those buzzwords, right? And I think it's also confused with a lot of other behaviors that kind of undermine what you're actually talking about with certain people. Although she may actually be a narcissist. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt that. I mean, if you look at the story of Narcissus, he actually wound up, losing this amazing opportunity to be with somebody and was so enamored with their own... A narcissist... Donald Trump is a narcissist. Right? So that's an actual definition of a narcissist. Here's a person that the thought of other people does not even enter their mind. All of their decisions are based toward another person, is calculated as how can I benefit from that. That's a narcissist. It's a very, very different than... But we'll get to that, Savon. It's there may be something there. I don't know. We'll see. But that's a good example of a narcissistic behavior. Kanye West. Textbook. Right. Now, these are obviously easy people to pick on because they're public, they're celebrity, and we see those parts of them as a function of the character they play, right? That outward self. Although with those examples I gave, it appears that there's also some crazy behavior behind the scenes that would lend to the fact that there may be narcissistic tendency. That's true. Yeah, we all display narcissistic tendencies. We all have our moments of... actually, it's a side effect of the ego. It kind of came before our personalities. Before we became self-aware was this sort of internal drive, and all that existed was us and the world, and those were kind of the same thing, right? Rose Rain, how's it going? Good to see you. Sure can. I just got to pull a quick card for Tavon. And jump here. Okay, so Tavon's got some issues with an ex that we need to work out. Queen of Wands, Wands fire, Aries. You know, that kind of says it all, doesn't it? Now, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're Aries, but what it means is that they're in the space of that Aries energy. And that certainly lends to the idea of a personality that wants to be seen, that wants to be, their will to be noticed, their will to be recognized, their will to be sort of the center of attention. So I can see how you would sort of call that narcissistic behavior. That's there's a lot of positive qualities to that too. But one of the things that you'll see when it comes to the elemental manifestation within these types of readings, some of the elements are active and are meant to be like utilized like a tool, right? So a sword or a wand is designed to be utilized, whereas you have something like, or for instance, fire is an active element, which is the wand. Air moves, right? This type of idea is important, and now fire is a very active. And so it does show that there's going to be this part of the personality that's going to be very active, that's going to be very proactive, that's going to be very bright. Now, on the flip side of that is there's a nurturing quality about that archetype. Whereas the Queen of Cup is the emotional support, the Queen of Wand is the warmth, the motivation. And that's not always necessarily positive, but sometimes it's, smacking you in the back of the head to get you going, right? And sometimes that's in other ways. But the point is that that this is the energy of the catalyst that gets things going and moving and active and motion, and can motivate you when you're not really feeling like you're up to it. But there is an internal kind of desire, or there's an internal kind of light that's coming through this person's personality that wants to be seen. And that part of it is, I think, what's the answer to your question. So, hey, just me. The answer to the question, which is why is she stalking you, is that you provide an audience for her desire to be seen. You provide a means for her to justify that her identity works for her, right? And so your ex is going to continue to try to come back to you because you fulfill the part of her that she wants to be, right? And so that's now, one conclusion of that would be, don't do that. Like, don't provide that, and so that necessity won't be satisfied, and she'll move on because she's not being fulfilled in that, right? If your job in her life is to provide her with an audience, and you don't provide that audience, then she's going to go elsewhere to seek it, and you're off the hook. Okay, so I hope that was informative, or I hope that was insightful. Obviously, we can do a lot more with something a little broader, and I would certainly offer this to anybody I do a reading for. In the description is ways that you can get in touch with me to do a larger reading or a full consultation, and really get to the core of any of those types of questions. And we have a special promotion, actually, that I'm running right now, incidentally. Anyone who donates $10 or more tonight, and that would include any of the full spreads, Mind, Body, Soul, Past, Present, Future, and so forth, or the larger spreads, Celtic Cross, Houses, What If, will receive a complimentary incense kit. And so any donation of $10 or more receives that, and that's free shipping within the U.S. and Canada. Okay, and that will certainly include a much deeper look at any situation or any than a single card can do. But okay, let's take a look here at the list now. We have looks like a rose, rain would be next. Let's see. Okay, does Karen still see me as Bella from Twilight? Yes or no? Okay, sure. So this is a yes or no. Let's take a look. Oops. Okay. Okay, it looks like we have one more quick one with just me after a rose rain, and then we're going to jump into doing some birth card stuff, and anyone who'd like to participate, all you got to do is just go ahead and drop your birthday in the chat, month and day, don't need the year, and I'll be able to tell you very quickly what your birth number is, or your birth chart, your card, your major, and then we can take that information moving forward in our lives and apply that to all kinds of stuff to get readings and so forth. Elsa, good to see you. Okay, so okay, let me zoom in on that. What we have here is the Hermit. The Hermit is the card that represents the time we take to be alone in order to see the truth, right? In order to be quiet enough that we can hear it, dark enough that we can see the light that it shines. Oftentimes the truth is dim. It's quiet, and it requires us to really pay attention. What the Hermit talks about is the time where we take to do that work and to find that illumination. And so what I see here is, as far as to answer your direct question about Karen and how they see you, Bella in Twilight. This is a card of shining light on the truth. This is a card of coming out of that darkness and exposing something that is true, right? And so, as far as a yes or no type of question, what this really answers, and I'm sorry to do this to you, what it really answers is that you know the answer. You kind of have to sort of look in your heart and say, okay, there's what I want and what is real. Sometimes those two things are the same and sometimes they're not, but in your heart you kind of know what that is. And so this is kind of telling you to look in, and you know what that answer is. But I'm going to go one step further for you, Rose Bella. I'm going to pull an oracle card. This is astrological in nature, and it's going to be how they see you from an outward perspective. Okay, and this will give us a little bit of a different idea as to what their motivation is. But again, you know the answer. And what we have here is the sun in Taurus. Okay, and so what this looks like actually is, I would say Karen sees you as attainable. Karen sees you as attainable. There you go. Okay. It's good to see you too, Elsa. Okay, let's see. We have just me. Is P grief starting to miss me? Let's take a look. All right, in the meantime, really quickly, we have a couple people drop their birthdays out. 3/16. I'm going to be shuffling for just me. Okay, so 3/16. There we go, March. Okay. Looks like you are the 10 of Cups. Shally, 10 of Cups. You're in Pisces, obviously, there, but also the planet that's associated with that period of time is Mars. So Mars in Pisces, and you are the 10 of Cups, all right? That's the 11th through the 20th. Yeah. Okay. And Elsa, February. And that is February 8th. And so you are the 6 of Swords. 6 of Swords, you're in Aquarius, obviously, but the planet that's associated with that period of time is Mercury. So it's Mercury in Aquarius. And your card, your birth card, is the 6 of Swords. So just to be clear, Elsa, your card is the 6 of Swords. Shally, your card, let's jump and make sure we got that correct again. March 16. 10 of Cups. The 10 of Cups. Okay. And we'll get to what that means in just a second here. I'm just going to pull a quick card for just me. Okay. On the outside, it's pretty solid, and but on the inside, yes. And there's times, especially, where it's pretty severe. Like there are these moments where it really hits and stings. This is Taurus and Venus. 6 of Pentacles. And just to give you an idea of the 6 of Pentacles, let's jump over here. Okay. You know, a lot of people are familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith. Okay, and so let's just show you those cards really quickly. Okay, this is the one that everyone is familiar with as the 6 of Pentacles. Alright. And what this card essentially means, and one of the things that this is really talking about, is the idea that, let me jump back here, the idea that it's more than just generosity or giving. It's the idea that there's been an injustice and it's time to make that right. That's one of the reasons that you'll see that the individual is holding a scale. The individual that's giving the money to the poor is holding a scale. And what that implies is that there's an idea of that the act of giving is an act of justice, right? So I'm giving this money so that I can rebalance the fact that there's a recognition there's been an injustice and that needs to be corrected. But there's also a very sharp, strong energy here of moments of intense longing. That it does exist, yes. Okay. Exactly, Elsa hit it. And yeah, Taurus is passionate. And now apply that with Venus. So, yeah. That can be intense. And at times very intense. Okay. Let's see, Elsa. What does Alex have up his sleeve in the next 2 weeks? Oh, Now, that's an interesting question that you just asked, because that implies that, like, there's something going on. Like, he's got, like, you got a birthday coming up or an anniversary, and he's got something surprise, and you're trying to kind of foresight on the surprise. Now, if that's the case, you let me know. And, do you really want to know? But all kidding aside, I'll take a look. And what was your comment there, Elsa? Is that Lil equal give and take? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay. Yeah, Bella definitely was attainable. I just caught that comment. Yeah, Bella definitely was attainable. Elsie, absolutely right. What a strange thing to say. He'll know in 2 weeks. What does that mean? Why he's got like some other person that he's kind of testing out and dipping toes and a couple of different people to see who he wants more, and if they say no, then he'll jump to you in 2 weeks? I don't know. I hope that's not the case. I mean, I suppose that's the cynical side of me that said that. But what a strange thing for someone to say. He mentioned that he would know where our relationship is headed in the next 2 weeks. Does he plan on proposing? See, now I want to know. You got me all excited. Let's find out. I may want to get a different deck. Let's think about that. Unless you have an opinion, actually. Elsa, it seems like you have some experience with tarot. So this isn't my full list. This is just a couple that I pulled out for the past few days to do some readings. So if you have a certain deck you want me to use and it's on this list, let me know. If not, then I'll make a decision. I'll start with this, which is Tarot of the Holy Light. Okay, the Six of Pentacles means a few things, right? So the imagery shows, what looks like a man of wealth, dressed well, giving to the people on the ground that are begging, or at least in a state of grace, like thank you for giving me this money, right? But then also we have the person holding the scale, and so it's not about equal give and take, but it's more about recognizing that this person has been fortunate and has been able to gain more because of that, and these people are less, and that it's not a level playing field, that it's not an equal system. And so he feels obligated to give to those people, not because they're poor and he's doing what's right in his heart because he's a good person, but because he knows that it's an injustice that they can never be as wealthy as him, right? And that's one of the examples of that kind of energy, of giving and take. It insists from the perspective of the wealthy person that there be justice, right? The people on the bottom don't even have the strength to stand up for the fact that there should be. So that is there, but it's kind of there directly with the person that's doing the giving, not as a general rule for the card. But yeah. So, I think we're shuffled up enough. Let's see what this guy's got planned. Let's do this. The Priestess. This is a card of the institution, right? This is a card of religion, but it's religion not from the perspective of the outer part. That would be the Hierophant, or the priest, right? This is the feminine version of the Hierophant, the priestess, and she's first for a reason. But we have a couple of things here too. We have this idea of tradition, but from the occult perspective. It's not about the power of the church. It's about what the church actually provides, right? So the priestess gives you actual spiritual support. The church gives you a place to go to do church stuff. And that's what the Hierophant would represent as opposed to the priestess in this particular circumstance, right? So let me see here. We are meeting with our church leaders to make our relationship official tomorrow. He has started a new job, so I don't know if those are factors. Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine he's going to show up for the church meeting if he's not serious about you, but that's my opinion. Let's take a look. And I'm going to throw a couple more cards to kind of get a sense of that, because this is positive. But what this also shows is that, let me zoom out of here and get back to the desk. What this shows is that you're in the position of power here. And this is a good sign. You are desired. This was got to pop out, so I'm going to grab it. Okay. Really hard to get a better sign than this. King of Discs is really, really a good card in this circumstance, right? You have the stable, solid, reliable. Right? It's Taurus, right? And then you have the Priestess. And then we have the Four of Swords. Now, the Four of Swords is interesting. Let's talk about that for a minute. The Four of Swords can represent a couple of things. It represents, in some cases, truce, meaning that the war's not over, but we're going to agree to stop fighting, right? Another way to look at that is that the battle's over, and it's time to now that that's the case, move forward with this new world of peace, of what's occurred before, right? Right? Yes, commitment is another idea. Like, this is a person who is able to do that has the ability to commit. Not everyone can do that. We have Aquarius and Mercury. And that actually, I think, lends to the Aquarius and Mercury to the idea that there's a reason that he's being practical about when he announces or how this happens, and sort of maintaining a little bit of control of that process. But it looks like definitely good news. In the next 2 weeks, essentially, I would say that it's going to end the end game, the goal of the work is for the two to become one. From the respect of an alchemical process. And you and I both know what that means. So, great. That's really, really good news. Congratulations. That's exciting. And you have to promise that you can tell me what happens when you can't leave me hanging. I don't care. If I'm not on YouTube, just email me or whatever. Like, you know, I have my email. That phone number goes directly to. You just leave a voicemail. You can text. I have to know what happened. And so, yeah, and that definitely came up. The fact that the war is over, yeah, for sure. All right, and I would say if anybody's found any value in what I'm trying to do here, I really appreciate it. Any donation is gratefully appreciated. Even $1 or $2 makes a big difference in just keeping this going and, you know, letting me know that it's working. And there is instructions in the description if you want to go ahead and do something a little more advanced. We can get into a very granular mind, body, soul type of reading between you and him, and how those connect. And those are really, really granular and in-depth into some karmic consequence, where you guys come from and what that all entails, kind of what to expect. But that's there's information in the description how to get a hold of me for a private reading, or you can, you know, again, call, text. I have my email as well in the description here for the YouTube channel, so you can shoot me an email. Let me know. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so a couple of people got their birth cards. Kunika, good to see you again. A couple of people got their birth cards, and so what we do with that information is we take the birth card, which doesn't change. It's kind of like your astrological sign, which is also represented here in the major strength for this period of time. But you take your birth card and you apply it to the card of the day, right? So we look at the wheel again, and today, bottom right, is the 11th. It's the last day of the period of the Six of Wands, and we're moving into the Seven of Wands. So essentially what you would do is that you would apply your birthday or birth card with the card of the day. And what that does is it gives you kind of a mini horoscope for that period of time, right? And so it's not a bad way for you to get a good sort of glance at how you should best navigate the upcoming period. Where are you emotionally, and what should you look out for? Is it a good or a bad time to create? Is it a good or a bad time to sever a relationship? Is it a good or bad time to start something new with a partner? All these things can kind of come up in that circumstance. Those are really, really effective types of readings. So, Kunika, in the meantime, sure, go ahead. You can put your question in the chat. And while you're doing that, let's take a look at a couple of these different circumstances here. Let me roll back in the chat here for a minute. Okay, first we had Shaylee, if you're still in the room, let me know, and we'll do yours first. If not, then we'll jump to Elsa. And anybody else that would like to participate. What we're doing is I'm finding out what your birth card is, and then we're going to take that and we're going to apply it to the card of the day to do like a little mini horoscope on a case-by-case basis. So that's what we're trying to do. Okay, cool. Okay. Alrighty. So first, okay, Kunika, thank you for the question. I'll jump to that in just a sec. And Elsa, let's take a look at your birth card in association with the card of the day. So your birth card, if I recall, let me go back to the, was the 10 of Cup. Am I correct in that? Or were we the, let me go back. What was your birthday? Elsa, 2-8. No, okay, you are the 6 of Swords. The 6 of Swords, sorry about that. Okay, so Elsa is the 6 of Swords. Okay. Just a moment here. Okay. Isn't it cute? These are the minis. I love these. These are great. These fit really nicely in your glove box. They can stick in a bag really quick and small. It's really great. These are great. And it's the traditional rider weight. Yeah. Yeah, and that card doesn't change throughout your life either. There's a reason that that's drawn to you. Let's bring it up a couple different ways. This deck is so cumbersome. It's, you know, it's not as big as it could be, but like the cards aren't so thick, but there's something, a coating or something about it. It's really very, very heavy. And it's just long enough to be kind of cumbersome in your hand. And so grabbing it and flipping through one card at a time is actually very difficult due to the coating and the texture and the size and all that. So I'm just going to break it in the third and find it real quick. Okay. Well, yeah, if it comes up in a reading, it could apply to you. And it's also the idea, here, let me just find your card in the meantime. It's the idea of traveling for commerce, right? Or having to move with the family to go earn a living, to take your wares and go sell your wares. But we'll talk about it in a sec here. Let me just grab... A different version of that. There we go. Very similar art, actually. But I thought it would be a nice addition, so I popped it in there. There we go. Okay. Okay. So first of all, the sword is a card of air. It's a card of intellect. It's the mind as opposed to the heart or the body. It refers to your thoughts. It refers to your thinking, your worldview, this type of thing. This here as well has this idea of traveling and going out and off into the distance. We have Aquarius in Saturn. And, you know, the interesting part about this card, both of these depictions are actually pretty good. Because, yes, the water is calm, and that's an important point that you notice that point. That was designed that way. It was drawn in that manner. However, another very important angle on this card, another way that you can look at the card is an unknown future, like adventure, right? I don't mean the unknown future of like thing, you know, you can't see past the now. I mean the unknown future of like setting out and having this idea of sort of providence, right? And that's an important power because in that is possibility. And possibility is the place where all magic occurs, where all physical manifestation takes place. So it's like a good unknowable, not a scary unknowable. It's like it's exciting. And so that'll come up often. And also, don't forget, the sword is a card of action, right? You don't pick up a sword to do nothing. You pick it up to use it. And so it does require action and movement and motion and or the lack of, depending upon the circumstance. Basically, that's the energy of that. And so when we look at the card of the day, which is the idea of gathering like-minded people together, or a person with the power or the ability to gather those toward an end goal. And so when you put those two things together, it's sort of like setting out on this adventure of bringing people together with the intent of one end or one goal or one specific thing that they're trying to accomplish as a group, and that's really a very cool thing. Okay, so let's put those together. And what you wind up with is, at least until, because we're moving into the Seven of Wands tomorrow, actually, the 12th. So, for the next 20-some hours, you have this idea of the excitement of the adventure that brings. The group doesn't hurt that. And what we have with the Seven of Wands, which is the period of time that we're literally about to move into, is the having the high ground during the battle, right? Or when the work's being done. So you've gone ahead and you've gathered the group and you've directed them toward this goal or this thing that you're trying to create. Now it's time to create that thing, to do that work, to attain that goal. And during that period of doing that work, you'll have the high ground, right? You'll have the energy will be there for you to succeed in that over the coming days, which is a good thing. So let's take a look at Kurika. If you're still here, let me know. And current feelings, okay. When will he call you? I love that. That's a great question. I'm going to use a different deck for that. Okay, great. Awesome. Let's take a look here. What is going on with... Okay. Akash. Let's find out. Okay. When will he call you? Okay. This is the death card. This is the transitional period within the path of the tarot, where there is a definitive end before something new. Right. So this is a period of time where it refers to a recognition of the fact that something's come to an end. So I feel like there's a sort of something big's about to change with respect to this person. Let's put it that way. There's going to be a big change with respect to this person. This does not mean the end of a relationship. It does not mean somebody's going to die. But what it does mean is whatever is occurring right now is completely going to be shifted. Like, it's not going to be the same thing. And it's not a small change. That would be a Two of Pentacle, or that would be the even the Three of Pentacle under certain circumstances, but that or some other types of energy, but not this. What this is referring to is a complete paradigm shift, a change on a big level. Maybe I'll do... Now, let me do the Terror of the Abyss with that. I'm going to leave the Death card out, actually. Let's leave it out as, like, the significator. Sona, thank you for joining. Good to see you. Thank you for popping in on the chat. Sure thing. In the meantime, I'm working with Kunika, but if you'd like, you can just go ahead and type your question. Anybody who joins my chat is entitled to a personal message, and so I'm happy to do it. Elsa, absolutely what that means, 100%. Yes. That's exactly... Well, yeah, you have the power to muster that, and you will have the high ground. You're welcome. And I would say to anybody, if you see any value, I mean, even the tiniest donation of $1 really means a lot, or at the minimum, all I can ask is you like and consider commenting on the video. It actually makes a big difference to the algorithm. And as you try to develop a channel nowadays, especially, it's very hard to get to the number that you can even begin to, rely on regular views and that type of thing from Google. So, okay. This is the Tarot of the Abyss by Anna Torian. This is my absolute favorite deck in history. And that's saying a lot. I've been reading tarot for 40 years, and I'm very familiar with a lot of different kinds of styles of cartomancy. And just you'll see, if you're not familiar with this deck, you're really going to have a lot of a nice effect here. Okay, Kunika, let's take a look at what we got going on here, since what we wound up with first is this huge dramatic change, right? Oops. Almost lost that one. Okay. What we have here is the Page of... Let me zoom in on that. The Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is representative of the element of air and of intellect and of mind as opposed to body or soul. That's the element of the sword. However, the page is the beginning of that. And this is a person who really is the beginnings of the representation of that element. So, for instance, somebody who thinks they know a lot but really doesn't know what they don't know. This is a person that reads the cliff notes because they don't have time. That kind of thing, where as opposed to reading the book and really getting deep and heavy into the story, and is sometimes a little bit in a state of needy is not a bad word of what I'm trying to get at, but won't admit it. Although they're a good ally to have, because there is a motivation, there is an idea of getting stuff done, right? And so that's a good thing. Okay, 2 now. Okay. Not the best card to come out. That's a toughie. 2 of cards reversed, Page of Swords, and Death. With respect to how does this person feel about me? Anyone in the room want to take a guess on what that means? So this is tough. You know, I have to say, you know, this is the card of the 2 of Cups. I love her artwork for it too. What a beautiful depiction of really what is trying to be said here, right? You have these 2 people intertwined, become one. There's this idea of kind of love and of togetherness reversed. This came up reversed. And now we have the Page of Sword, which is again kind of a immature mental state. A rash thinker. But so, yeah, I don't know. I don't see it as a good sign, and I'm really sorry to say that, but that's the reality here. I see bad mojo kind of around the circumstance. I'm sorry. It seems. When was the last time you guys talked? Yeah, the important part is the letting go. Elsa, you're right. Although not everyone does that, right? It does look scary at first, right? But it is a nice card. I mean, and the artwork is really, it gets the point across. Like there's the many, and it's time for, you know, there's the unpleasant way to do it. Somebody who fears it, you know, the person who succumbs to it. There's all these ideas, right? And so each one is kind of experiencing the whole thing in their own way. Like this person's hiding from it. There's all these different ways that you can go through this one experience. But I think the core lesson here is that you will go through it. So you might as well sort of be prepared for a better experience than not, right? Yeah, there's a lot of that, and a lot of recognizing that even if you don't let go, you're gonna have no choice. Like that, the wheel turns and it doesn't stop. We can slow it. We can express our will, but I think Elsa is right there as well. That, you know, there's a sense of like potentially needing to move to that next stage, and maybe even more. I would say, kind of moving from the sword energy to the cup energy, right? You know, being in the Page of Sword doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily move into the Knight of Sword. You could easily move into, say, the Page of Cup. Or, you know, leap into the Queen of Cup, you know, due to some experience that just jumpstarts your, into, you know. Yep. And at the end of the day, you know, some of those signs there are a little hard to ignore. But, I mean, Like, the death card in and of itself is not a bad omen. The Two of Cups reversed is not necessarily in its own a bad omen. Both of those together in a question about love, that's a toughie. Well, yeah, but there's some growth that needs to happen, and I think some of that growth might need to happen on its own. Or, one of the parties winds up kind of being like the fixer, and doesn't wind up fulfilled in a relationship, and then they move on after you fix them. But really, I think more importantly, you sort of guess you let your heart tell you. You'll know if it's right or wrong on how they're acting if you're honest with yourself about how you feel about that, right? You have to be honest with yourself about, is this what I want, or is this actually what I need? And coming out and asking the question sometimes can really make a big difference with respect to communication. And can communication happen? I did a really interesting reading today, a love reading, and tell you what, I'll actually jump. Let me grab my notes. It's up on my channel if you, and so if you go to the channel after the stream here, you can look at that. And the basis for those kind of readings that I do that are general are, what, like, a lot of people ask, how do they feel about me? Do they love me? What are they thinking? These types of things. As opposed to maybe, will it even work? Is it even worth it? And one of the things that came up today was that you might see potential, but they're worried about the fact that you may not fit into their disciplined, kind of structured sort of life, and that while you're enthusiastic, they're afraid that you may mess up this sort of like sharp corners and nice, or I have everything where I want it, and then you're going to come in and move stuff. Like, you can't come in and move stuff. That's not fair. Like, and so at the end of the day, there's that kind of fear. And then there were some other things that, if you'd like, you can go back and check out the video. It's actually pretty cool. Well, true. And while bad omens fought with hope, okay, yeah. I think you're right from that degree, because it also has a lot to do with our approach to it. If something's good or evil, it has to do with our interpretation of that. But also at the same time, yeah, sometimes it's better to walk away from a situation than attempt to make it what you want, And with people or relationships, I've certainly bumped into that circumstance where I tried to communicate with somebody, and did a lot of sacrificing, and it just never came together. And in the end, looking back, it was like, man, I should have left that a long time ago. But they all have their purpose, right? At the end of the day, they all have their purpose. So let me just check the chat here, and I hope that was insightful, Kunika. And again, I'll say the same thing I say to everyone. If you do find any value in what I'm doing and want to do something a little more, let me know. We can do something here, whether it's live on the air, over the phone, or over the stream here. And in the description, you'll see instructions on how you can do something personal, one-on-one, as well. Cool. Okay. Alright, I think we're caught up on that. Great. So if anyone else would like to participate in finding your birth card, otherwise I'm going to jump to the topics of the day. We did talk about naive. No, I don't see that at all. I think you were actually right in that line. It certainly is situational, and again, in some situations you'll bump into it and say, okay, well, this might not be the best thing, or this might be the best thing. Oh, thank you, Elsa. That was so nice. I appreciate that. Every little bit counts, and I really mean a lot. And you would like a Celtic cross. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at that. Let me pop this up in the meantime. There you go. If there's a certain deck that you'd like, let me know. Otherwise, I can, you know, grab whichever one that you want, that you officially like to. Let's see here. Oops. Okay. Let me just accept the. In just a moment. And I gotta pop my live stream back up. Okay, done. Great. Okay, and open. Alrighty. So let's do this. Let's full screen. There we go. Alrighty, so we'll do a Celtic cross, and what deck are we looking at here? Whichever one calls my name. Wow. You know what? I'm going to stay with the Terror of the Abyss, just because I'm a big fan of the deck. And I think it'll actually be a good deck for a Celtic cross. Alrighty. Okay. I'm going to jump to the desk view here. So what, hang on, let me jump back to the deck list. Oh, you mean Tarot of the Holy Light? The Tarot of the Holy Light? That's the one that I started with today. That was the one that has that sort of, esoteric, hermetic, kind of vibe to the artwork. And if that's the one that you're digging, then we can certainly do that one. That's fine with me. Like, I like that deck a lot. I've been using it a lot. And don't mind it at all. I'm going to shuffle this in the meantime, and if you want me to do Holy Light, I'll jump to it really easily. And if not, just say go ahead, and then we'll go ahead with this. Awesome. Okay. This is the Tarot of the Abyss by Anatorian, and we're looking at a Celtic cross for Elsa. Okay. And if you'd like as well, either direct message me, either in on here, or you can text the phone number. If you're eligible, and I can send out your incense. We have a promotion today. Any $10 or more donation will receive a free incense kit, Nagshampa, and holder, either a cone or a stick, and either a stick holder or a cone holder. Yeah, right. The Abyss is really, isn't that the place where all learning actually takes place? Like, if we're really thinking about it, isn't that the kind of the place that really, that's where we look to see ourselves looking back. And that's, it's an important part of this thing called the human process, right? Okay. So, as far as the Celtic cross is concerned, let me just take a quick sip. For those who aren't familiar, the Celtic cross is a spread where, let me pop this up, the position determines the context, right? And so if we were just throw a card and look at it without context, we can interpret that card so many different ways. And what the spread does is it helps to give each position of the card the contextual lens to look through, so that we can have a better idea of what we're talking about. Okay, and so this particular circumstance is for Elsa, and is for now, are we doing a general reading? Because if we are doing the general reading, then what we're going to wind up doing is looking at the first position as the thing that we're about to talk about. If there's a certain question in mind, then that will sort of change the meaning of that original position. And so let's do a general reading then. We'll do a jump to the desk. Seven of Cups. And anyone with experience in tarot will appreciate the beauty of what she did here. How great is that, with the person's head in the clouds, with the castle, and they're with the cups underneath? Like, that really gets the point across. Just love that. Okay, thanks, Elsa. Appreciate it. Okay, so the situation here and the idea here is this: the fantasy, the emotional fantasy, right? This card in the Rider-Waite system we've all seen, where there's this, each cup has a little smoke with some new fantastic thing in it, like, and it's the idea of the playground. Oh yes, you can ask us a specific question, and it's not too late to do that. It's not too late to do that. And so her interpretation of this card is really, really quite something. As far as the real point here is that it's all in the mind, right? Like, it's not an actual physical manifestation. But yeah, I'd be happy to ask a specific question. Whether that be something general or broad, that's fine. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, well, you know what, though? That's who you are, right? I mean, you have to kind of, consider. That's funny. But yeah, if you did have a specific question, then that's we can go that route, or I can continue on a general basis. Long term, sure thing. Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to keep that out as the first card, right? Not only because you said that it's also relevant in your relationship, and that you have qualities like this, but we're going to use that as the situational card, right? And so the second card, sometimes it's referenced as, or spoken to as, the card that crosses you, right? This is the one in the 2 position that's going to go across the side there. And this is either the thing that sort of holds back the situation or helps you. The thing that's either hurting or helping. The thing that's kind of like, generally speaking, either in your way or helping you along. And that is the Emperor. Which means a couple of things. Right? If you look at the artwork here, it's actually neat that she's gone through that of the horns. The horns are even on the chair. A lot of action and activity in the card, even though it's black and white. Which one? This one or this one? This one here? Or this is my right hand or my left hand? Which one are you talking about? That's kind of amazing. That's so great. That means a lot. That does matter. Okay. But yeah, so the Emperor obviously represents Aries. And, you know, what we're looking at here... Let me jump back to the desk. What we're looking at here is the thing that either is helping or hurting. Right hand. Okay, so yeah, that's this... Wow. What are the odds of that? Are you kidding? That's kind of amazing. Yeah, small world. Geez. And so this I'm going to actually say represents him, right? But that particular energy of the Emperor, as opposed to the Empress, this is a much more sort of strict, but this is also somebody that you would look to for stability, right? You know, we look to those in power to be what we need when we need it. And some people step up to that and some people don't. And there's a lot of different symbolism for the Emperor, which we won't get into here, that are based on alchemy, based on astrology, based on the Hermetic or Thelemic system. But I'm really just feeling a lot of Aries here, and a lot of that sort of is, there's a stubbornness, and it's a willing stubbornness. That's an important point here, though, is that there's a willing stubbornness that's being that 2 spot. Let me jump back to the Celtic cross here. All right, so that 2 spot, which is the help and hurt. There seems to be a fair bit of willful stubbornness. And that might, too, as well, become more clear as we go through this process. Let me jump back to the desk here. Okay, very good. I'm going to go to the top now with the Queen of Pentacles. Actually, let me just get these cards out in the correct order. And then we'll flip them as we go so that I can put the deck down. Okay. I'm having some space issues, as you can see right here, but we'll work that out in just a sec. Okay. Alrighty, let's jump back to that. Okay, so right now we're going to be looking at the 3 card, which is on top there, and then going down and then around till we get to that pillar on the left-hand side. Let me jump back to the desk here. Okay. All right, so there's 2 ideas here. There is the card above and the card below you. Okay, now the difference here is the one above, which is the Queen of Pentacles, represents your ideal, like what you actually think would be the thing. And now she's gone through the searching. She's found the key. She found the box. She opened the box and there it is. She found it. Finally. The wisdom. Okay? And so the ideal here is about the attainment, sort of like finally getting the reward of the work. Okay. Okay. And so in this particular circumstance, we see the actual, and this is an important part here, is that this isn't real. This does not exist yet. This isn't something you actually have. This is something you want. This is what you have, what is beneath you, what's on the ground that you actually put your feet on, that supports you, is what you actually do have. and can use, like it's, and that is the Six of Wands. Now the Six of Wands, let me jump in this particular circumstance, what we have is the dancer bowing after the performance and is in the spotlight. What we have is something that has been recognized for its beauty. Like, this person did the performance, did the practice, and nailed it. Right? There's the difference between being the audience and being the thing that's watched. We're looking through the 5 and the 6 at this point, on the left and the right. And in the 5 position, and the 6, it's oftentimes called the past and the future. And what we're actually referring to here is the kind of immediate past of the situation and the immediate future. So this isn't about your childhood or the far past. This is very recent is the point of this card, is that it's very recent. And then you have the very near future. All right. So in the past, what we have is the Queen of Wands. And then what we have in the future, the immediate future, is the Chariot. Right, yes. And specifically, the accomplishment has happened. This person has performs with skill, right? Like, it's not they're not an amateur any longer. Like, you have skill underneath you. You have the benefits that are gained through multiple performance. Like, the truth. You can see, the Queen of Wands. Now, these are different kind of ideas than the initial idea. Or even in this case, which is your ideal. Your ideal is... oh, sorry, I hit a button there. Your ideal is earth. Solid, reliable, can count on, unchanging, unmoving. Your past is a lot more active. The immediate past of the situation is a lot more heated, a lot more the two don't always gel. In fact, they very little interact in negative or positive ways. But so that just in the immediate past, there seems to have been this kind of tension where the energy changed. And I think part of that might have something to do with kind of where you were. You were really in this ideal place. Like, if your head is in the clouds, this is what the clouds are, right? Because this is the position. And I'll jump back here so you can... for context. The top card, the number 3, is really the position of not what you have, but what you want or what you feel like would be the best outcome. And so this is interesting as the immediate future, though. Yeah, that's okay. Right. And I don't... Now, this, though, the Chariot... The Chariot can represent a couple things. By virtue of the fact that it's intrinsically a vehicle, it means motion or movement, but sometimes it can mean the opposite of that if something's impeding it. But motion or movement. And also, specifically, and this is a key, there is a direction. There's a reason that you're in motion. Like, you have a goal, a place you're going. But let's start at the pillar and then move our way up. Let me go back to the desk here. And then once we have all the cards out, we'll take a good solid look at sort of where we are. Okay. And we can go back and look at individual cards and talk about the circumstances there. Okay. So number 7 is basically like, this is the thing, this is the vocabulary that you're using to look at the circumstance, right? And so this particular situation of you having an ideal desire between the two of you, and him kind of being stubborn about that and not really, kind of almost having this like power trip about it. That card coming up as your worldview, it means that you've been through some stuff. And some things that you have been through have put you in a position where you feel like you have to... Now, it's strengthened you, but it feels like that you have to be careful to hold on to what you have, right? Like this person, they're not hoarding, right? That's not what they're doing. What they're doing here is they're afraid they're going to lose their stuff. Let me zoom in. Okay? And so the star, and now this also is how you see other people, how you see the world, and just basically the view of the situation from that perspective. But what you're talking about here is this idea of people kind of holding their own and not sharing, not spreading that. And that could potentially be a problem. This next card, this is going to wind up in the 8 position, which is kind of like the stuff that's happening outside that may influence that circumstance, right? This is in the 8 position. And the outside influences are things like friends, your job, their friends, their job, the world in general. And what we have here is the star. Now, as far as that being what are the outside influences, it actually seems like, from that perspective, I'm trying to find the best word for this, because we're looking at like, there's almost like a karmic influence preventing it from happening, meaning that like this, the stall is on purpose. The timing dictates that this happen in a different way or in a different time, and so the universe is actually conspiring to slow it down. Does that make sense? The next position is going to be the 9 position, and these are the things that you are afraid of, basically. Hopes and fears is a pretty generic term for that, but this is basically what you're scared, what you were afraid of, not him. In this circumstance, him, but you. And this is the tower. Now, this is her tower, right? You've got the house built on a tree that's over, it's disintegrating, lightning striking, there's wind blowing, they're falling, they're hanging. It's this is their version of the tower. Your fear is that it's all going to fall apart. Right? We'll get to that. Because on purpose, we'll see. I mean, there is a karmic influence that's potentially causing this, and we'll determine why that is. But what that influence is doing is informing your and his behavior. And so it's informing his behavior Yeah, I know, right? The Tower is coming up as the thing that you fear. You're afraid of it all falling apart. You're afraid of that. No matter what you do, it won't matter. Right? Now, this is interesting because her card, this particular card I'm about to flip, is the most different of all of the cards in her deck compared to the standard Rider-Waite, Golden Dawn, Hermetic system of tarot. And it's the Ten of Swords. Now, the Ten of Swords you may have seen as the person stabbed in every possible spot, right? And there's a lot of different symbolism there. But look at her Ten of Swords, and you tell me what you think this means. This is the vector, the direction, the compass of the result of where things are going between you and him. And the answer to that was the Ten of Swords. But let's look at her interpretation of that before we jump to that conclusion. But I don't know, that's not a good omen. And there's a lot of ways that you can look at this card, right? I mean, this represents the truth. But there's some very interesting dynamics in this card, and I have to really... I'm still meditating on it, because her art is very different compared to the standard symbol. And when I first saw this card, I almost didn't know how to interpret it, right? Because I was like, my gosh, like, what is this? Like a lot of people who read cards, especially for a long time, you have your patterns. You have your vocabulary that develops over time that you begin to rely upon. And when I saw this Ten of Swords, I thought, okay, well, I don't want to do this. I was like, is he interrogating wisdom? Is this the eye of truth judging this person? There's so many different ones here, right? Okay, so then that's a lot of... That means then that the meaning is very similar to the normal traditional sense of the Ten of Swords, right? I don't know. It's not a happy ending when you start getting toward this. This is you. This is the outer world and the outcome of that. This is what's going on in your karmic influence. This is what's going on in the outside world and the reality and how it's manifested in our world. And what you have here is all kinds of kind of not great stuff. Like, he's being stubborn. There's moments where he sort of gets a little out of the hand with respect to that cocky kind of nature, and can just frankly downright be maybe belligerent at times. You have this idea of you really wanting this stability, but having this instability and this insecurity, and sort of a selfish nature with respect to that. And then we wind up into the, moving, the motion. It could be smooth sailing. The immediate future could be smooth sailing, or it could be moving. But it seems like that there's been a lot of tumult. And there has been outside influences, meaning that there's been things that are outside of your direct doing that are influencing this circumstance, right? And so it's not all him, and it's not all you, and it's not all the things that you two have gone through. And you're right, you will come out stronger through experience. But it looks like there has to be a little bit of a period here of maybe letting go of some stuff. Because it's sort of inevitable anyway. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to now ask... Let me jump to this... I'll zoom in on here. I'm going to now ask... is there any particular portion of this reading that you want me to expand on? Yeah, I see that. The holding grudge thing is also not going to serve him very well. And it's the cause of a lot of this energy, that doesn't need to happen. I'm just not... I don't know. I don't get a very decent vibe from all this at all. I mean, the vibe that I get is that I see you putting in a lot of work and not really getting too much in return. That's what I see. And that, you know, that can really leave you in a position of spinning wheels for a long time. But, you know, that's what you do, isn't it? You cope. You manage. You move forward anyway because you're strong, because you've been through a lot. Like, something got you here. Okay. Let's look at the Emperor first. I can actually use a different deck for the to expand on this. Okay. And this is the Oracle of Radiant Sun. It's astrology based, and so as an example, I'm just going to show you here. Like, you've got Saturn in Pisces, right? As an example, or Venus in Leo, and so forth. Okay. That's funny. Those two cards, just incidentally, I was pulling them. I was flipping them to show you. It came up with loss and affair, like you know, like somebody who's cheated. I'm not saying that's what happened. Those are just the cards I flipped to. But so let's look at the stubborn nature and what it is. What is causing? So we have Emperor, Chariot, Ten of Swords, right? Okay. And I'll tell you right away, as far as with the star, the feeling, and that's over here, that's the outside influence. The sensation I'm getting right away, basically, is that we're dealing with a lot of factors that can have an effect on the karmic consequence of a circumstance, are out of our hands. And what this is basically saying is that there's a lot of outside influence here that you don't control, and it's sort of karmic in nature. It's not like there's a certain person with an agenda, or you know, there's various factors that are lending to this situation. So I just wanted to take some of the heat off of him and some of the heat off of you, and point out that in this particular circumstance, very much. There's stuff out there that is kind of out of your control, and what you two need to do is to sort of weather the storm. But let's look first at his stubbornness. Okay, what we have here is Mercury in Capricorn, organization. Anal, type A, want it my way. You know, this is how I've always done it. These are things that this person says. Why? It seems that there's sort of like a, I don't know what the new word for that is. Like obsessive compulsive. What's the new term for obsessive compulsive? I forgot if we're allowed to use that word anymore. But there's an OCD vibe here. The Chariot. Yeah, let's take a look at the Chariot as well. Right, okay. Because, you know, like you said, it could mean smooth sailing, or it could mean time to move. And we don't want to fall into the trap of reading what we want. Appreciation. This is the moon in Leo. Another word for appreciation is grateful, thankful, bountiful. So, yeah, I would say that this doesn't look bad. This is actually, this Chariot means good things, moving toward a bountiful situation. And I just realized I'm not zoomed in on that, sorry. Okay. I can see that. But then also there's something that happens, it's sort of like ping pongs. Because, you know, that will lead him to behavior that is very bad. And that's the problem, you know. Rather than him obsessing, he should, you know, see you for what you are. And that is the other half of him, and he should, like, if you actually approach the relationship with balance in the give and take, you're in a much better position than if you keep sort of running around that circle of obsession is not good. Okay, yeah, no, karmic influence would not be his friends. That would be a different thing, but let's take a look at some of those influences. This is the idea. Let me zoom in. The two-facedness. There we go. Flattery. Flattery is usually used as a device, right? There's this idea of like saying what you think the other person wants to hear, which I appreciate. And we've all kind of been there, and it's something that I've always had a problem with. There's a difference between a sincere statement that comes from the heart, where it's not thought of and calculated how it's going to be spoken. There's value in truth, and flattery is a form of deception, as far as I'm concerned. Mercury in Cancer. Mercury in Cancer. He has a Gemini Venus. Wow. Any questions? What, you expect that to be something that's stable? Quite not. Yeah, no. Okay, so we have Mercury in Cancer. Now, the term here that's used is intuition, and I like that. There's an important distinction here. Intuition is not a psychic event. It's not an emotional event. It's a mental event, right? It's a mental capacity. And I think the lesson here is sometimes the mind knows better, right? Well, wow. Here's the deal. That's so great, by the way, because you guys obviously know each other enough to a point that you can actually pull that out and be like, man, you're not fooling anybody. Like, who do you think you're fooling? But I think the two of you might benefit from some type of counseling situation. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be with like a relationship counselor, but I think what needs to happen here is you both need to really kind of take a look at what is your motivation in a relationship. You love it that he obsesses over you. Of course you do. We all do. But you also have the side of you that's like, wait a minute, that's not good for him. And it's not going to be good for me either, And so there's that side where you want to say, okay, what's really best for me? What's really best for him? And is it even worth trying? Good. That's not a bad idea, actually. It depends upon the type of and what his motivation is for inviting you. Because that's Pro Shuttler. How you doing? Can you win an Olympic gold medal in badminton? Badminton is that's hard to say, but He told her that he admires you. Did he tell you that he told her he admires you? Because what's his motivation in telling you that he told her that? You know? Like, did he want to get recognition for the fact that he made sure that you knew that he told somebody that he likes you? There it is. There's the flattery. Right? Like, what's the motivation behind that? You know what would be really nice? If you went to his counselor and told her that he really respects you and he didn't tell you that. That's respect, right? But, yeah, so... Right? But is he capable of doing that? You know? Now, you know, I'm curious if you plan on visiting with his counselor and sort of how that would go, because that's really going to give you some serious insight into his motivation. If you go down there and the entire session is him trying to kind of like butter you up in front of somebody else to look good to you, you're not stupid, you know, and that's going to kind of come off pretty clear. And so I would say, you know, consider that. Because, again, you know, you may have this connection with him that you've gone back and forth and been through stuff, but that doesn't mean that the two of you belong together forever. And there may be a certain point where, you know, the two of you have outlived each other's usefulness and it's just going to kind of spin wheels. Or you could wind up, you know, being very well together for a long time. You have to kind of do the work to take a look at why that is, right? I'm going to pull a quick card for Pro Shuttler. If you're still in the room... Six of Cups. That time is come and gone. If you ever wanted to be an Olympic champion in badminton, that time has come. I'm sorry. That is a memory. Okay. I hope that was insightful, you know, and obviously, we can, you know, expand on any of these topics. Anytime I pop into a live stream, you know, jump on and reference that situation, and I'll kind of know where to go, that I'll remember as best I can what we talked about. But I would say that, you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you can jump in on maybe that meeting with the counselor and really get a good, solid sense of what his motivation is there, okay? Because that's going to help you to know where he's coming from. You know, oftentimes you can tell a lot about somebody by the words they use, where they're coming from. If it's an egocentric place, if it's a place of love, are they trying to word things to soften the blow to your feelings, or are they trying to word things to come out looking good, or, you know, like, what's the motivation? And I'm curious. That'll be interesting to see how he answers that. If you say to the counselor, he needs to learn to respect me, he may even just, in order to save face and look good, admit that. Like, he might right away just kind of agree and say, you know what, I agree that... Okay. You know, and every church has a different direction. Yeah, no, I think what you should do is insist on honesty. Stop telling me I look good when I don't. If we're going to be partners in crime, I need you to be straight with me, you know, right? Like, the whole idea, I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, never lie to your doctor or your lawyer, because if you do, they can't help you. They're not going to know what to do because they don't know the full picture, right? So never lie to your doctor or lawyer. It's the same thing with your lover. If you really found the right person and you two are like really like one person as two bodies, you don't bump into that problem. It's not a problem. And at the end of the day, you have each other's best interest in mind automatically. You know, like, flattery doesn't exist, because when you say, you know, you're the shit, you mean it. Like there's no, and they know that you mean it, and so there's none of that nonsense going on, right? Like you don't have any of that. Oh, do I believe him, or what? You know, what's he trying to get out of the situation? But it's rather that you can be confident that what they're saying is true, right? So yeah. Well, that was a lot of fun. I like going into the deep dives. And let's do this. I'm going to pull one card for you, just for the fun of it. I'll use the Hanson Roberts deck. This is one of the first Dara decks I ever used. It was the Hanson Roberts. It's a Rider-Waite Smith clone with a very different kind of art style. Well, we're pulling that one out because it wanted to come out. Oh, and we're pulling that one out. Okay. So these two cards fell out of here. Let's... Okay, we have the Page of Cups and the Tower. Emotional immaturity and, yeah, right. So, okay. Any questions on that? I'm not even going to tell you anything past there because I just, like seriously... Come on. Anyway, thank you so much. I can't. Yeah, that's not even. It's not even funny. It's like a bad joke, you know. Wow. Okay, but yeah. Okay, and I will say this too, just really quickly for just to have some fun. Pro Shuttler, I take what I do seriously, but since you are in the chat and have participated, I want the Wheel of Fortune, the wheel never stops turning, and I'll say this: no matter where you are, you won't be there soon. If you're at the top of that wheel, it's going to keep spinning, and you're going to be on the bottom. If you're on the bottom of the wheel, it's going to keep spinning, and you're going to be on top. And so the reality is will you ever win a gold medal in the Olympics? First, you have to compete. And then you have to compete at the highest level in the world. And then you have to qualify. And then you get to compete in the Olympics. And then you get to wear the medal. All right? So the choice is yours. Okay, Elsa, here's the deal. Don't make the mistake of overestimating a man. We grow slow. You know, I know, I'm 46 years old. I know 40-year-old men that act like they're teenagers still. Like, not a joke. You know, and I know some 20-something women that are more mature than some of the 40-year-old men, right? You shouldn't be playing. Here's the deal. It's time for you to be happy, right? It's time for you to insist on there being a balance between give and take. You deserve that. And, I encourage anybody, too, to just pop over to my channel when we're done with the stream. I did a reading today specifically about love, which is really going to be insightful to this particular circumstance that we're talking about right now. And that, I think, is a big deal. Give that a look. All right, so that said, I'm kind of getting a little loopy. I'm getting a little tired, which means that it's time to kind of start wrapping up here. So this is for everyone in the room. Whoever's left in the stream tonight, I'm just going to pull a single card. This is for everybody. And your message for the evening is critical thinking. Okay. Good night, Elsa. And thank you for joining the chat and participating tonight. I really appreciate it. It does mean so much. Think for yourselves. Be the authority of your own thoughts. Take agency back on your beliefs. And don't forget that power is granted, not taken. Okay? So we have the ability to decide when and how we go about that. Okay, and Elsa, I'm going to check the message, and I'll get your incense right out to you. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining the chat tonight. I plan on usually posting between 4 and 5 videos a day on YouTube and TikTok, and live streaming once a day or twice on YouTube. So if you haven't already, hit that bell. That way you know when I come on, and we can do it all over again. All right?